have quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll be covering for Linda until she joins. Today is, what is today? Monday, November 2nd. It is 6:03 p.m. We have quorum. Agenda for today is budgets, finance committee compensation, solar updates, reorganization of committee / succession planning, acceptance of minutes, reserve fund transfers, correspondence, public participation calendar, and as may arise. So I propose we start with the acceptance of minutes. That'll be the quick and easy. So for the minutes, we had in attendance, and these are the minutes for Monday, October 19th. And in attendance, we had Melinda Tarsi, Cheryl Zarella Burke, Fred McGovern, Bill McAvoy, Drew McGlincy, Tom Connolly, and Lauren Carmichael.
Bill, the one procedural thing, when you're opening the meeting via Zoom, you have to announce actually who of the members are here. It's one of the requirements from the AG's office. I know it sounds weird because people's names are there, but it has to be part of the record. So you, Bill, Drew, Fred, and Cheryl are all here. So that handles that. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Thank you. All right, so has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from Monday, October 19th? And if so, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept minutes from October 19th.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Charlie, do I need to call out the names individually because we're on Skype? I know
everything's by roll call.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Cheryl?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Drew?
Aye.
And myself, Bill McAvoy, aye. Okay. Next, let me just cross this out. Next up, we have, we'll just go to the top. We have budgets. Charlie, I know you sent a couple of emails out, one of which was in regards to the sign at the fire station, and the other one was informational only. Do we have anything to discuss in terms of budgets for those items?
Well, the sign at the fire station, I am asking for a $3,000 transfer from the reserve fund. I think I sent you all information to back up to it. There's the proposed invoice for parts and labor from the company down in Alabama. Then we're going to assume a labor charge from our local vendor. And then Murphy will show up inevitably. So money that we don't spend obviously ends up going back. We're not going to spend it on something else. But it's really at this point, it's either spend this money with the hope that we're going to get the sign fixed, both in terms of the transmitter is still under warranty. We only got that a few weeks ago. So we're getting replacement for that. That's the device that sends the signal from the fire station to the sign itself, telling the sign, here are the messages, here are the dates when you play them. The problem with the garbled side, the west side of the sign, the side closest to Town Hall, that needs parts and labor and such to get fixed. But it's either a matter of getting the transfer, getting the sign and hoping to get the sign fixed, or what I'll tell Jason is just turn the sign off until May, because we won't have the money elsewise to fund this repair project. And a lot of the messages now are out of date, and I can't get them up to date. And the west side of the sign I can't get fixed. I can't go over there and pull a plug and put it back in and hope everything works.
Okay.
I guess we'll entertain a motion on this, right? Or actually, Sandy, you had some questions on that in terms of putting it into a expense.
Right. So not that I'm opposed to the reserve fund transfer, but I feel that this sign has to fall into someone's budget, and I'm not sure whose budget it should fall under. We either need a line for sign maintenance for the future, or we need to say, okay, this is the sign is the responsibility of the town building department, and therefore it should be put into their budget a little extra to handle these signs. I'm not sure. I mean, it used to be Jerry who maintained the signs. So I'm not sure whether that would be, yeah, when they were the old signs, and he had to put up the letters. But it was still that department. So I don't know whether we should put it under the town buildings, or you want to take responsibility under the selectmen, Charlie, because you change it? No.
Really,
And-
no. I mean, I'm
All right.
fine for running the sign, but I mean, there's really no appropriate place in the selectmen's budget or the expense budget to
Okay.
and say that's.
So we either have a separate line, or we put it under building maintenance.
I would put it under building maintenance. I think, we'd have a discussion with Scott and the building committee. We'd put, and I think set aside, put another $1,000 a year or something like that, at least some nominal sum to say, okay, we're giving you this responsibility, but we're also giving you money. But also sort of the message is at the end of the year, if you haven't had to spend any money on the sign, return a little bit of that money back to the free cash.
Well, we actually have under his budget is town building maintenance, town building preventative maintenance. We have a separate line for the snow and ice. So we could make it a separate line, but the problem with that is then it comes in at $1,200 rather than the $1,000 we put aside, and he can't use one of his other lines for it.
Yeah.
I would rather just put it into his budget.
Yeah.
Would something like this fall into Caesar's wheelhouse? I mean, it's kind of electronic and IT,
Data
right?
processing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Let me put it that way. I have enough. This doesn't happen that often. So I wouldn't put it under Caesar.
My concern is the sign is getting older, so I want some place that we have money so that if this happens next year or the year after, we're not doing reserve fund transfers for it.
Right.
Okay. So I entertain a motion so we can have discussion, further discussion, I should say.
What's the motion exactly, Bill?
Motion to recommend usually.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend the $3,000 reserve fund transfer to fix the sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, we have Fred,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
myself, Bill, aye. Charlie, the estimated quote came in at 2,200. We're requesting 3,000. What explains that extra 8?
So we have, that doesn't include the labor charge for the local company that's going to actually do the physical labor here. There's a labor charge for the company down in Alabama supplying the parts and such. We need their help. We need physical labor up here. So that's the difference. Plus, I'm leaving a little money in there for Murphy in case something else goes wrong. We find another piece of that needs to be replaced or something like that. If any money doesn't get used, it just stays where it is. We don't go and spend it on something else.
And Sandy, you mentioned that, just issues with it don't happen often, or maybe it was you, Charlie.
Yeah.
If you had to predict how often, does it make sense to create an expense line item or include it in existing?
I would put money into the building committee's, building expense, preventive maintenance or maintenance budget every year. That way, if it's a minor deal, then Scott can cover it. If it's a significant deal, more than, let's say, the $1,000 or something like that, then at least he has money in the budget. And at the end of the year, if we need to, let's say we set aside $1,000 for the sign. Okay, we get a bill for $2,000. At the end of the year, we can do a line item transfer to cover the increase in the expenditure. But I don't want to dump this on him and say, you get no more money, but you do get this additional responsibility.
So we're not dumping it on them this year, but next year we are.
Correct.
Makes sense.
So for voting purposes, we're voting strictly on, we have a motion for the reserve fund transfer. We're going to table the discussion on the, including an expense count for next year. Is that what I heard? Okay. Do we have any further questions or discussion?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All those in favor of $3,000 reserve fund transfer for the sign at the fire department? Start with Fred,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Bill, aye. Give me a second. I'm trying to find my mouse here.
Charlie, do you want me to put together a reserve fund transfer request for that, or do you want it initiated, or what?
I'm going to leave myself a note for tomorrow morning and I'll get it sent out.
Okay, then we can get everybody to sign it.
Next, we have Finance Committee compensation. Other than strict interpretation, I'm not entirely sure what this is getting at.
So Drew had asked for that to be on the agenda, so he probably should start the discussion on that.
I last meeting I spewed like a lot of stuff. One thing that well, this is like not on the same topic, but I just like we logged in and like it's like 300 alarms because I noticed like Lauren's maiden name Carmichael is the same as a famous slot machine cheat, Tommy Carmichael. That's not relevant to anything. I just noticed like the beautification committee and stuff had that, and I think I just sort of mentioned that like
Sorry, Drew, the beautification committee does not get any money. The only committees that have a stipend are the board of selectmen and the board of assessors.
okay.
But, you know, the planning, zoning, beautification, board of health, school committee, you all, none of you get any more money out of this.
Okay.
Sorry, Drew, on my side, I think you broke up a little bit. Did you say something?
Me?
Drew?
Who are you talking to?
Drew?
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Okay, I thought you had said something. My audio messed up a little bit there. Did you have something you wanted to say? Response to Charlie?
I don't know. I mean, just proposing the idea, but I mean, like, it would be, if it was, just, if we were the only committee that got it unjustifiably, it probably wouldn't, like, flow very well, so. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have much else to say.
Okay. Do you have a recommendation here, or do you want to?
I don't know. I mean, well, it's pretty tough. I mean, I think the Board of Selectmen, it gets like $1,500 each a year. So, and they're like the elected officials. So it's probably pretty difficult. More just like, I don't have much of a recommendation.
This is a voluntary position, so unless we're going to switch over to elected positions, which some towns do, I don't see this going anywhere.
Yeah. So, Drew, you want to table this?
Yeah, I guess table it.
Is point of order, Charlie, is that okay here?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's no motion, there's no nothing. Anybody, you know, if somebody wanted it on the agenda next month or next year or whenever, someone could ask for it to be put on the agenda and you could have more discussion. But I think you've basically you've had the discussion you're going to have for tonight.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
So we did just get another copy of a letter from the Regional Old Colony Communication Center. An email just kind of, Charlie had forwarded it, I believe, just talking about the FY22 budget and what they were possibly expecting and considering establishing the enterprise account. You sent that out, right, Charlie?
Right. So I think it was just a hi, here's what's going on. We're trying to put together, and the idea is that they want to, they're saying they're budgeting more transparently. And so if they set up an enterprise fund for the regional dispatch center that's still being run through the town of Duxbury, then they get to separate it out. All the revenues that are being contributed by the towns go in the enterprise fund, and then they have expenditures. They can more reliably, for instance, budget for insurance like health insurance, but also general insurance, anything like that. And so they're sort of giving a heads up of what they're trying to do. It obviously also seems to indicate that at some point, even possibly for FY22, they want to revise the intermunicipal agreement between Duxbury and Halifax. Now, how they're going to work that with all their other municipal agreements with the other communities that are participating in the regional dispatch, I'm not quite sure, but it's an indication that they need to reevaluate how they're assessing each of the communities, on what basis and what data they're using. Because I think it's been not quite frozen, but they haven't made any changes to it either, the amount we're contributing to Duxbury for the regional sector. So it's more of a heads up letter saying things may change during fiscal 22. We wanted to alert you to that, but it doesn't indicate, for instance, okay, instead of 150 a year, we're going to be asking for 250 a year. Doesn't say we won't, but there's no indication yet of any material change. I assume at some point, if they are intending something like that, they'll start knocking on our doors and we'll start having discussions with them. I suspect, however, it's sort of a situation that will be not quite under their thumb, but they certainly have the upper hand in this, in that if we wanted to say no, whatever the number was, that it would be very hard to recreate the dispatch center here in Halifax. So but I think we could, any discussion about assessments should be based on fairness and such, when based on the same formula. So if you're assessing one community on one basis, you need to assess all communities on the same basis.
The only other bit of correspondence that we had was just a copy of a letter to the Finance Committee that was sent to the Board of Selectmen also. And it was just a second notice from Silver Lake Regional School District saying that they would like the Board of Selectmen, they're reminding the Board of Selectmen that they would like to meet with them as soon as possible to discuss the CARES Act money and immediately earmark for the regional funds for the regional school district. So they're just informing the Finance Committee, I guess, that they are trying to get the Board of Selectmen to meet with them and discuss what's going on with the CARES Act money as far as what the school would like.
And and basically they had that meeting. See, was it Thursday, Wednesday?
It was Thursday. No, yeah, Thursday, I think.
And I think they worked out everything, at least to the next steps. The protocols or procedures of how they're going to submit expenses to the three communities and what proportion. And we'll see how everything plays out between the three communities, but also with the Plymouth County CARES Act, because there's a question, are all expenses reimbursable, et cetera, and we'll see how it plays out. But, Sandy was there. I thought it was worthwhile because it did get everybody in the same room, so to speak, and I think they enabled everything to work out, at least on some sort of basis.
Basically, the way it ended was they have certain expenses that they believe should be eligible for the CARES Act money. they're going to submit the invoices to all three towns. And we'll do it as we do the shared costs for the region, so that we will pay our percentage of their expenses for the CARES, and then put in for reimbursement to Plymouth County for that amount. So, and all three towns were agreeable to that.
Any questions or comments? Any other correspondence, Linda?
No other correspondence.
Okay. Next up is solar updates. I think that was for you as well, Drew. Do you want to discuss this now or wait till we have a larger number of the finance committee in attendance here?
Really doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I'm registered with MEA Energy for courses, online courses. And I mean, I'm not sure how much I can talk about. The presentation I gave to the board, there's a model that Tom Milius liked that I think we probably like. Technical capacities for how to install it is something that like me or some of the people that I've worked with in solar before would be able to do in the near term. I think there's like multiple things going on at once, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much else I really have to talk about, but maybe just like table it or something.
Okay. I think we'll table that. Linda, if you can add that maybe to the next agenda when we have more attendees here. And then next we have the reorganization committee and succession planning. I propose we table that as well because it's going to impact some of the folks that are not here. Any objection?
No, I agree with that. There's only four.
I agree also.
Okay. We don't need to vote on that, right, Charlie? We just do.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a message from home, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. We can agree to table the reorganization committee succession planning without actually voting.
No.
Okay. Calendar. I just looked at my phone. I don't have another meeting in the calendar, but that doesn't mean we don't have one. I just forgot to put it in my phone. But Linda, do we have another meeting in the calendar?
You don't have one scheduled yet at this moment. I think you were doing the every other Monday, but I think Melinda had said in the last meeting, like, did you want to get to this one and then discuss whether or not Mondays worked for everybody? Because you have the two new members, but obviously the two new members aren't in attendance tonight. So maybe that's just discussion for the next time as well.
Sure. Okay. So we want to put another meeting in the calendar then, say the 16th.
Okay.
Works for me.
Works for me.
So we'll post that for the 16th at 6 o'clock. Any public participation?
Just keep in mind that we'll be sending out the budget letters for FY22, usually by the end of November, right, Charlie?
Yes.
So even though we just finalized our budget for FY21, we're going to start going into FY22 pretty shortly. I have not set up any meetings for capital planning yet, Bill. We can talk about what's good for that. But if we meet the 16th, probably after that, we'll do the budget letter. So.
Okay.
All right.
As may rise. Okay. It is 6:28. We don't have any other agenda items. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
Second it.
The motion is second. All those in favor, Fred,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
and Bill, aye. All right, everyone. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you too.